Which NFL quarterback has the strongest arm? And who is the most accurate? Welcome, football fans, to another BLV NFL reaction video. In this video, a unique perspective on the quarterback position and the traits that make a great quarterback. I'm talking arm strength, rushing ability, pinpoint accuracy, mechanics, and everything in between. This is a set of top 10s made by ESPN's Dan Orlovsky, a former NFL quarterback himself. So who better than a former quarterback who played the position in the league to assess the position and give us his opinion on the best in each and every trait. But I am here to make sure that Dan actually knows what he's talking about. Does Danny O really know? That's the question of this video. So, if you're with me, Gronk, spike the like button. Let me know in the comments your opinion on Dan's lists. And let me know if you agree or disagree. Is there a certain quarterback that's overrated or underrated in a certain category? And I'm sure I'm going to disagree with plenty that's here because I have my eyes as well. You don't have to be an NFL quarterback to be able to assess how hard a guy throws a football or how pinpoint a pass really is if you have a keen eye for the position. So let's talk about it. Let's go over the top 10 in the different traits that make great quarterback play in 2025. Don't be a jabroni. Subscribe for more NFL, specifically NFL quarterback reactions, because there are plenty to come. I mean, everybody is talking quarterbacks right now. It feels like it's kind of weird, but yeah, let's go. Let's have some fun. So we have here ranking NFL quarterbacks by trait, best arm, accuracy, and more. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with Dan Orlovsky's work over at ESPN. I think he is a really good analyst in terms of being camera friendly, being easy to understand. And I also think he does a good job at giving just his analysis. I do think sometimes he's a little bit too positive about every quarterback. I'd like him to be a little bit more opinionated. So here with something like this, I feel like we actually get his real thoughts because you can actually see who he ranks highly in certain traits. Because that's kind of like the negative, I would say, for Dan as an analyst. But for the second straight year, he ranked the best of the best in 7 categories: arm strength, ball placement, mechanics, decision-making, pocket presence, rushing ability, and second reaction creativity. These top 10 lists are based on the current performance and expectations for 2025. That's interesting that he added expectations. I would rank the quarterback group at this moment. I include only starters, so Joe Milton is not on the arm strength list, guys, and leaned on what I see on tape. Okay, fair enough. So this is an eye test list, not necessarily a statistical, like, analytic, how fast was the ball mile per hour, okay? Arm strength, here we go. So this is a big one. A lot of people like to talk about this. Top 10. He's got Josh Allen at number 1. I would completely agree with this. Josh Allen has the best arm, the biggest arm in the NFL. There's nobody that can put more miles per hour, more heat, more sugar on the football than Josh Allen. And he proves that year in, year out, I think, not only through just watching it, but his ability to play in cold weather, his ability to play in Buffalo, wind, snow, it doesn't matter. Rip the ball through that environment, but then also it plays in his play. Like big time throws, the ability to fit into tight windows that nobody else can fit into. Like Josh Allen, he is all about it. So the arm strength, 100% agree with number 1. Number 2, Patrick Mahomes. I can't say I disagree with Patrick Mahomes at number 2. I think that's fair. I think Mahomes, what makes his arm special is his ability, I think, to make strong or arm-based throws that are not at a typical angle. So he throws it from a multitude of angles, but can still throw it with power and velocity on a sidearm, by manipulating his arm, which I think is wicked. But I think a lot of his arm strength does come from the torque of his lower body. Justin Herbert, I think that's fair as well. At number 3, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with Justin Herbert at number 3. He definitely can make every throw. I feel like he's more of a traditional thrower or passer of the ball than Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. I think Allen and Mahomes can throw the ball from more angles and more platforms, but I think when Herbert steps into a throw, he can make any throw as hard as he wants. So I think that is a good top 3. Now, where I am a little in disagreement is Lamar at 4. Don't get me wrong, Lamar has a strong arm, but I don't know if it's the 4th strongest arm in the NFL. Right? Like, it's a good arm, okay? And he can make pretty much every throw, but I don't ever really ever watch Lamar Jackson and am wowed by the amount of mustard he puts on a football. You know? Stafford, meanwhile, I feel like Stafford probably does have a stronger arm than Lamar. Just stand in the pocket and rip it. Now, maybe Lamar just doesn't use that mile per hour as much as other guys. Like, it feels like he lofts or touches the ball more often than other guys. Now, where I feel like could be differentiation here, I like the respect for Baker at 6. I think he has one of the strongest arms in the NFL and doesn't get really talked about that much. Joe Burrow, I would not have on my top 10 strongest arms. I don't see that. I think Joe Burrow is more of a touch accuracy passer. I don't think he has a particularly top-end arm. I think it's fairly average. You know, I think it's a good arm. But, so a couple of guys that stand out to me. Caleb is, I think, a little bit high as well. I think Caleb has a good arm strength, especially when you account for his ability to move and throw on the move. But I don't know yet about that one. Michael Penix, I feel like, is fair, even despite a very small sample size. I think he does have a very strong arm. Jordan Love, I think, is maybe a little underrated here. Like, I don't think Joe Burrow has a stronger arm than Jordan Love. Jordan Love can make throws without his feet pretty much on occasion, like on regular occurrence. Like, Joe Burrow, he has to step into a throw if he really wants to rip the ball. Like, Jordan Love doesn't even need his feet to throw the ball hard to me. So, yeah, Jordan Love, I feel like, should be higher. Now, quarterbacks that are not on the list, and I'm just going to skim through divisions. I'm doing this off the top of my head, raw reaction. Drake May, first of all, I think has a stronger arm than Burrow, and I think he has a stronger arm than Caleb, to be honest. I think Drake May is certainly one that maybe that will be showcased this year. I think he does have a very strong arm. I still think Aaron Rodgers might have a top 10 arm strength in the NFL. I still felt like he was ripping the rock out there last year. Then you go to the AFC South. Stroud is a debatable one. I think Stroud and Burrow have similar mile per hour on their ball. I don't think it's all that dissimilar between the two of them. Anthony Richardson, I guess, is categorized as a backup, so I don't think he's necessarily involved here, but he probably would be on the list if he were able to be involved. It's interesting that Trevor Lawrence is not here. Trevor Lawrence, to me, does have a very strong arm. It's more so that he can't really control it all that well. I would actually argue that, I know he hasn't played, but Cam Ward probably does have a top 10 arm in the NFL, or at least it's very close. I would make a pretty strong argument. Bo Nix has an underrated arm, but I don't know if I'd put him in the top 10. The NFC, I feel like, yeah, definitely not Purdy. Kyler, I feel like, yes, could have an argument. Goff has an underrated arm, I would say. And JJ, we need to see more, but potentially could get there. NFC South, I definitely wouldn't put Bryce there. So, yeah, I think overall, the ones I disagree with, I think Lamar is too high. I think Burrow is not even deserving to be in the top 10. And I don't think Caleb is there either. The guys that I would replace them with, I definitely think Drake. And honestly, I think Cam Ward, Kyler, maybe, Trevor Lawrence, maybe. Those are ones that I would consider for the top 10. Arm strength, pure arm strength. I'm not talking accuracy, pure ability to throw the ball as hard as you possibly can. Okay? Like, Will Levis would definitely be on there if he was a starter. Like, he has a rocket. Ball placement, Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Tua, Brock Purdy, Baker, Geno. Okay, interesting. Joe Burrow, number 1. I would agree with that 100%. I think, again, he nailed the number one spot. I think Josh Allen has the strongest arm. I think Joe Burrow is the most accurate. Jaden Daniels is interesting. I'd like to see a little bit more in terms of just more play in the NFL. I know it's only been 1 year. One guy that I don't see on the list that I probably would have on the list is CJ Stroud. I feel like CJ Stroud's ball placement is very, very good, especially when it comes to not necessarily throwing a ball in a traditional fashion, but throwing the ball where it needs to be thrown to be a safe catch and or not an interception. I think CJ Stroud does a very good job placing the ball exactly where he wants it to go. Last year it wasn't as good, but I would still say that, and that's why Jaden Daniels, maybe might be a little bit too high, just because we don't have necessarily the lineage of seeing him do it time after time after time. But Daniels is certainly very accurate. I would only make an argument that Daniels, doesn't really throw to the middle of the field all that often. It feels like he throws it short, deep, or to the sidelines, frequently. So there's one portion of the field that he doesn't necessarily attack as much as the other guys. Lamar is interesting that he's as high as 3, but I don't know. Lamar was very accurate last year. So I can't necessarily say that he's wrong about that. Mahomes and Allen, I feel like, are fairly similar in their ball placement. I think that Mahomes is a bit overrated by most in that area, and I think Allen is mostly underrated in that area. I think that Allen can make more high-level throws. Stafford can make as many high-level throws as anybody, and I think if that is where you're trying to lean into, then Stafford should almost be higher. At the same time, I think Stafford has a little bit more of inconsistency as compared to somebody like Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels can't make as many tight window throws as Allen or Mahomes, in my opinion, but where the ball is actually located, I think is very, very good. Aaron Rodgers, again, I still feel like could be considered for this top 10. So I'm going to throw Aaron Rodgers out there again. I didn't necessarily feel like Aaron Rodgers totally lacked in accuracy, totally missed this list. I feel like, again, a lot of his limitations come down to his inability to take hits, his inability to stand in the pocket, his inability to move, not necessarily the physical ability to throw the ball. I think Aaron Rodgers is arguably a top 3 to 5 most accurate quarterback in NFL history. So even at his older age, I still kind of feel like his ball placement is up there. Who are they missing from this list? So I definitely feel Tua is a good one to include here. I think that he throws with pretty good anticipation, but mostly just I think he throws the ball well in terms of lofting the ball over certain guys and placing the ball in a certain area. I do think deep down the field, he loses some of that, but that's a lot to do with his arm strength. He just lacks an arm strength. Purdy is pretty accurate. Baker is, I think, more accurate than given credit for. The one that makes no sense, the guy that should be here, is Justin Herbert. I don't understand why Justin Herbert is not here. Justin Herbert might be 3 for me. That's pretty wild. I don't understand why Justin Herbert is not on the list. He doesn't say anything. Jared Goff too. Jared Goff is pretty damn accurate. Geno, I think, is honestly underrated on this top 10. I think Geno is one of the most precise pocket passers in the sport. So I kind of think, again, Lamar is a little overrated here. And I honestly think that Josh and Mahomes are a little overrated. I would have Herbert in my top 10 for sure for ball placement. And Geno, I think, would be a little higher. I don't know about 2. 2 is tough. Daniels, based on last year, I guess. I'm just shocked that Herbert isn't there. I'm talking about the most important traits in a quarterback. Ball location carries more weight. Can you precisely place the ball no matter the situation? Do you routinely get a completion even when you shouldn't? Does the ball go to a spot that allows for extra yards after the catch? Yeah, where is Justin Herbert? Am I crazy? Where is Justin Herbert? And CJ Stroud, I think, should be on that list. Anyways, mechanics. Joe Burrow, okay, fair. Jaden Daniels, interesting. Matthew Stafford. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, CJ Stroud, Geno Smith, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert. Now, I will say, mechanics are overrated. Because if you throw the ball accurately, consistently, and you throw the ball well, I don't really care how your mechanics are. But that being said, like, nobody would say Phillip Rivers had good mechanics, but he threw the ball well. You know what I mean? So mechanics are a little overrated, but still they're fun to talk about. And there are proper mechanics. And I think mechanics basically another way to say, do you consistently put the ball where you want it to put it? Does it consistently go where it needs to go? And does it look the same every single time? And is it repeatable? Are your mechanics repeatable? Right? So like Tom Brady, for example, probably the best mechanics in NFL history. Just the same every time. Right? So I think Burrow is 1. I think Stroud should be higher. Josh has actually really good mechanics now. He didn't at the beginning of his career, but he fixed them. Similar to Lamar, I think Allen would be above Lamar for me, though. Stafford, fair. Geno, again, underrated mechanics. Dak, I don't like Dak's feet. Dak's feet bother me in his mechanics, but I can understand a lower placement. I think Goff should be higher. And I think Herbert, again, is underrated. I don't understand why he's hating on Herbert so much. As a pure passer, you can't really argue against Justin Herbert. What is wrong with Justin Herbert's mechanics? Like, does anyone watch Justin Herbert's like, oh, that's sloppy? Never. Like, what are we talking about? Like, Justin Herbert should be a lot higher here, in my opinion. Now, guys that I think he's missing. Let's think about it. Tua has pretty good mechanics. AFC North, I mean, Rodgers has untraditional mechanics, but I mean, it depends on your perspective. See, mechanics are weird because it's perspective-based. Aaron Rodgers does not have Tom Brady mechanics, but he still has mechanics that work really well that result in very extreme, consistent results. And it seems like Danny O is hating on Aaron Rodgers. Nobody in the AFC South besides Stroud. Maybe Cam Ward in the future. Bo Nix is debatably getting up there. I definitely think this is a category I wouldn't have Jordan Love because he's very sloppy with his feet. See, I think feet is a big part of it. Consistency with your feet, where they're located and the angle of your feet, things like that. And that's why I wouldn't have Dak there. Lawrence, another guy I wouldn't have on the list. Bryce Young, Purdy. I think Purdy is probably a no for mechanics. I don't think that's a bad list. I just don't understand why Herbert is so low. And Baker maybe, right? Like Geno, again, I like that he's getting love here. So the only guy I'd maybe move out is Dak on that one. I think I don't really understand why Rodgers is just getting shit on. But anyways, decision-making with the football. Joe Burrow 1, Josh Allen 2, Lamar Jackson 3, Jaden Daniels 4, Patrick Mahomes 5, Matthew Stafford 6, Justin Herbert 7, Tua Tagovailoa 8, Jalen Hurts 9, and Bo Nix 10. So I want to hear what he says about decision-making because to me, decision-making is not only not having interceptions, which is what people think decision-making is. That's not what it is. Decision-making is throwing the ball where it needs to be thrown on every play. And depending on down distance and situation, do you get the most out of that down distance and situation? Do you keep your offense on task? Do you keep your offense in rhythm? And on 3rd and 20, you make a different decision than you would on 1st and 10. You know what I'm saying? 3rd and 8 with 2 minutes left down by 4 is a different decision than 3rd and 8 with 2 minutes left, up by 4, for example. Like, there's different decisions in different games based on the situation, how much pressure you have on you. Should you get rid of the ball? Should you take a sack? Should you not take a sack? How early should you throw the ball? There's so many different things that go into decision-making. I think that Patrick Mahomes is too low. I think Patrick Mahomes would be number 1 for me, personally. Joe Burrow, number 2 probably, or number 3. Josh, if you put into perspective that he maximizes every play, Lamar, the same thing. I think those guys both maximize every play as much as possible. I think Josh has a tendency to be a little bit more aggressive. But here's the thing, right? And maybe that's why Mahomes is at 5. And this is fair. I didn't really think about this, but Mahomes isn't super aggressive right now. So maybe I shot too early there on Patrick Mahomes because Mahomes doesn't push the ball maybe as much as he should or needs to. So that's fair. And also, like, in terms of the clean pocket thing that I think he talks about there. That's also a thing that Mahomes doesn't do extremely well. Sometimes he runs out of the pocket when he shouldn't. Jalen Hurts, though, does that every play. So I don't really know why Jalen Hurts is on the top 10. Okay, so let's think about this. Decision-making. Who should be here? Brock Purdy is very up and down. I like Stafford there. I was going to say he deserves to be in there. NFC North-wise, Goff is a really good decision maker. I'm not sure why Jared Goff isn't there. I feel like Jared Goff is actually one of the best decision makers in the NFL. I think that's what really makes him really good. I think his ability to stand in the pocket, know when to get rid of it, know when to kill the play, know when to force the ball. I think Jared Goff is a very good decision maker. He sees the field very well. I think Jared Goff is very underrated in that regard. Jalen Hurts is good in terms of limiting negative plays, but he's also poor in terms of holding the ball. So that's a tough one. Herbert is mostly a good decision maker. Bo Nix is a good decision maker. CJ kind of dropped off there, but I think CJ is a really good decision maker. He just last year got really rattled by pressure because his offensive line was so bad, it sped him up so extremely. So this is an interesting one, and this is, again, very subjective. This is very subjective depending on what you value, right? Like, I think Mahomes knows how to make decisions in big moments better than any quarterback, which is probably why I'd put him number 1. But at the same time, some of Mahomes' worst moments in the NFL are because he tries to do too much, or he scrambles from bad like from clean pockets and things like that. Like, from a traditional sense, he makes some weird plays. Daniels is a really good decision maker. Tua is interesting. I like that Nix is there. Interesting that Dak isn't there. You guys let me know on that one. That one is tough. That one is tough. I will say that. And there's plenty to read here as well. Biggest snub is easy, Brock Purdy. He was 5th on the year last year. I have no problem with him being on anyone's top 10. I also considered Baker because he's still improving in decision-making as he enters year 8, but it's hard to ignore 16 picks. So Baker is good if you like guys that lean aggressive, but he is too aggressive and erratic sometimes, so I understand that. Purdy, the weird thing about Purdy is I think 99% of the time he makes good decisions, but when there's games that they pile up where he makes bad decisions. Like when he plays bad, he often is because he makes a lot of bad decisions. So that's where Purdy is tricky. Pocket presence, Joe Burrow, 1, interesting. He takes a lot of sacks. 2, Lamar Jackson. 3, Patrick Mahomes. 4, CJ Stroud. 5, Brock Purdy. 6, Josh Allen. 7, Geno Smith. 8, Baker Mayfield. 9, Bryce Young. 10, Jay Nick. Why is Josh Allen only 6? Josh Allen doesn't get sacked. Can we? Mahomes' pocket presence is on display every snap. He never panics. He keeps his eyes downfield as he steps aside from pressure. Purdy is so underrated. I agree with that. Purdy is very underrated under pressure and very underrated at avoiding pressure. Burrow is dominant in creating operational space, even when it's a muddy pocket. The top quarterbacks in pocket presence can consistently calmly slide or climb to avoid pressure. They can use a 6-inch shuffle here and a 6-inch shuffle there. Now, the guy that I think should be here is Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love has very good pocket presence in terms of the ability to throw the ball in confined space. Now, I don't know exactly what he means by, because he says shuffling and using the spaces, but some guys don't even need the spaces. Stafford also is interesting that he's not there. I think Stafford is pretty good in the pocket, at least from a traditional standpoint. Again, Allen being 6 is odd because it feels like he's able to avoid when he needs to. He's able to step into throws when he's able to. And he certainly creates a lot of time when he's allowed. Mahomes, I would say, would be above Lamar. I think Lamar's interesting, though, because, like, Lamar's just so elusive. But Mahomes, I feel like, just has more of the subtlety of, like, I guess it's close. I mean, Burrow is the best at climbing the pocket. Burrow is the best at, like, finding the small lane to find a throw. But I think Lamar, Allen, Mahomes can, like, create more. But that's kind of a different trait. Stroud is pretty good at pocket presence, although he didn't really have a pocket to throw from last year. Who is missing here in pocket presence? Who is missing? Not really Rodgers anymore. He doesn't really have a presence in the pocket anymore. Dak's pretty good in the pocket. I would say Dak's pretty good in the pocket. He's pretty aware of pressure. He knows where to go with the ball. Step up, step around. I think Dak's decent in that regard. I would say Kyler is very elusive, but he often doesn't see the things around him, but he's just able to avoid it because he's so athletic. Baker is there at 8. Bryce Young at 9. Bryce should be higher. Bryce actually does have very good pocket presence. I would definitely give him a boost for that. Herbert, again, is not on the list. I don't know what Danny O has against Herbert, but Herbert is a really good pocket passer. What am I missing with Justin Herbert? Like, I don't understand. Am I crazy? I don't know about that. Dak and Herbert were left out of the top 10, but that's no knock on their abilities. They do a really nice job relying on great mechanics to make things happen in the pocket. I'm very, very confused about Justin Herbert. Is it because he doesn't try to run? I don't understand. Isn't that a decision-making trait? That's a little confusing to me. That's a little confusing. Okay. Next, though, you guys, again, comment below what you guys think. Rushing ability. Lamar, Hurts, Allen, Daniels. I think that's a fair top 4. I would actually say Allen is a better pure runner than Hurts. I'd rather have Allen than Hurts, personally. But Hurts has the tush push. On a designed run, I'd probably rather have Allen, though, to be honest. I think he's faster at this point. Hurts just feels kind of like methodical at this point as a runner. Daniels as a scrambler, I think might be number 2. Fields obviously is fair. Mahomes is weird at 6. There's no way Mahomes is a better runner than Kyler. Maybe in terms of the decision-making of when to run, but not in terms of actual elusiveness and speed and quickness and making a game-changing run. I would not say that he's better than Kyler. Herbert at 8, which is weird because he doesn't run much. 9, Purdy, and then Caleb. Where is Drake May? Drake May literally led the NFL in yards per attempt on the ground, and he's not in the top 10. Drake May is like number 6 or number 7. That's crazy to not have Drake May in the top 10. That's crazy. Also, Bo Nix is a better runner than Caleb, in my opinion. I would not have Herbert in my top 10 runners. Who are they missing, guys? Who are they missing? Dak's not there. Baker's not there. I wouldn't say Bryce, although he's kind of sneaky. Pat Penix, certainly not. Stafford, certainly not. Sam Darnold? No. Geno, no. Although he got better last year in that area. Lawrence could be, but he's not. Definitely not Aaron Rodgers. Definitely not Burrow. Although he had that one great run against the Giants. Yeah, I think he mostly got it right. It's just the one that's missing is Drake May. Like Drake May not being there. And then I'd have Bo Nix over. I think Bo Nix is way more elusive than Caleb is. Personally. Second reaction ability. Lamar, Mahomes, Allen, Daniels, Hurts, Kyler, Burrow, Caleb, May, Nix. Okay, so May finally made a list. I'd have May above Caleb. I'd have Burrow at 5 over Hurts. I think Hurts is good on second reaction plays, but I feel like his limitation is his arm angle ability. But he does avoid a lot of negative plays. Kyler is awesome on second plays usually. He can make top 3 level plays. Like Kyler can make as good of a play as Lamar at times, but he's just it's less frequent. Daniels at 4. I'm not sure about Daniels at 4. I feel like Daniels is just good at running. I don't know if he's particularly amazing at second reaction throws, but he is really good at running. I don't know if I'd have Daniels at 4. I think Daniels feels too high. Drake I'd have higher, for sure. Drake can make crazy throws on the move. Who else is there? Like, Fields, for as athletic as he is not very good on second reaction plays. Caleb, in theory, is. We just didn't really see it that much last year. Purdy actually would be one that would be considerable for this list. For sure. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Russ? Maybe? I don't know. He used to be, obviously. I don't know if he still is, though. Bo Nix? Oh, yeah, he's 10. Okay. Yeah, all right. Well, I think that's the list, guys. I think that's the lists. Interesting, man. I like looking at this and thinking about it. Also, Cam Ward would maybe be. He could potentially be in that top 10. But there it is, guys. Let me know what you thought was most interesting, most crazy, most accurate on these rankings. I wanted to discuss them. It's something to talk about. And I think it's a different way to look at the quarterback position through the lens of a former quarterback. Let me know what you thought. Gronk spike the like button. And leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't be a jabroni. Subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.